So I just finished the Intelligence Squared debate on should we use racial and religious profiling, period, I guess. And so the debate was centered around, of course, at the TSA and at airports. Should we allow the ability to profile based upon religion and race? And the debaters those who were for the motion, saying that we should use those tactics, won, and those against it lost. And the one key thing that they pointed out that kind of makes sense is that they were concerned that if we focus too much on race and religion, that we would take the lazy man's approach, as one of them put it, and we would overlook all the other things. They were constantly pushing for something called behavioral profiling, which I didn't understand why we wouldn't also do in accordance with behavioral profiling. I mean, I was actually for the emotion from the beginning that I think you should profile. It's not to say that I'm a bigot in any way. It's just that it just kind of makes sense. Profiles are based upon stereotypes. Yes, it's true, but these stereotypes exist because of more than likely probable most likely statistical reasons backing up why that bias exists. And so it seems kind of counterintuitive that you would intentionally blind yourself to a race or a religion if that race or religion was posing a threat. And of course, the political correctness is, of course, it's dealing with Islam and Muslims, typically from Middle Eastern descent. The counter side was afraid that we would forget about all the people that don't fit that stereotype, which is true. Those are the greatest concern, is those who don't fit the stereotypical terrorist look. But it seems kind of ridiculous that you would intentionally turn a blind eye to a group that shows statistical probability for a certain cause. So it's not an issue of race or being racist. It's an issue of statistics. Are they more probable to inflict harm than another group? So I think we get caught up too easily with the emotion behind the issue and look at it from a rational standpoint. It does concern me that we would focus so much on that we just cast such a broad net, and then we just impede everybody's freedom. I mean, that does bother me, in which I don't understand. If you went with opposing the emotion, then that's what you would have to do, is cast a broad net to the point where you have to treat everyone equally the same, and that basically means you have to scan and physically search every individual to be fair, which seems kind of ridiculous that you would have to do that. It just kind of makes sense. I mean, you're never going to be 100% accurate, but it seems to make sense that you can use profiling to limit that restriction on freedom. They gave the example of an 80-year-old Muslim man who had to been physically searched, and he's done this every time, which I don't understand why the heck we don't have special classes where if you have like a background check or a security clearance, why the heck do you have to go through the TSAs? They should have like a fast track procedure. They should have like a safe fly list. And that once you're on the safe fly list, there's absolutely no reason why you would have to go through that extensive background check or that physical screening, because your background hopefully by then has already been cleared. So that's just kind of my stance on that. But even general, in my thoughts on TSA in general, is that the most effective thing that we've done since the 9/11 hijacking was we learned that we don't ever let anyone take over the plane regardless, and so we actually bolted down the captain's quarters, so no one can ever hijack a plane ever again. So it's kind of, I don't think the TSA has actually brought any more security. It's just brought more people's awareness that we're not going to let that happen again. So the most effective tool is actually the people themselves, which again, the best tool for controlling terrorism is people itself. Laws and policies are not going to work. And I think one of the people on the panel who was for the motion was actually a Muslim woman, and that was what her statement was, is that we as a Muslim people have failed ourselves. We failed our people by not policing ourselves. And I think the same would be true of the Christians during the Crusade. They failed themselves. The KKK is another situation. Christians failed themselves in allowing civil rights to be violated on humans, namely blacks, and they failed whites, and namely Christians, failed in allowing the KKK to use the name of Christianity to commit atrocities on another human being. So it's not anything racist. It's just I thought she spoke valuable truth in that statement. So that's my thought. It was a good debate. Thanks. Bye.